Everything else, everything else, everything else, everything else. Welcome to another edition of Are You Shitting Me?
A podcast that dives into random topics that may surprise and educate you and guaranteed to make you laugh along the way.
Guaranteed.
I am one of the hosts, Brad. With me, as always, my good friend and co-host, Aaron.
What's up? Welcome to the season 2 finale.
You? What?
I can't even believe we're here already, man. Like, this season flew by.
It did, absolutely. You know, there's some good reasons for that.
Obviously, it was a shorter season than last year, and that was on purpose. Now that we're at a point where we actually have a little bit more understanding about what we're doing and a little bit more organization, we were trying to get onto a better schedule for both of us. And as it is, it just turned out that this worked out to be a shorter season than the other one, but it does help us line up for more seasons, better seasons as we move forward, which is cool.
Before we even recorded an episode, we had talked about doing seasons and trying to do a 4-week period where we're off for the holidays and summer. We'll do 2 seasons a year, and to get ourselves on that schedule, this season is now coming to an end.
Yeah. It was also like there was a lot of stuff that happened outside of the podcast this season that played into that too. I changed jobs at the beginning of the season, which kind of took up a lot of my time to try to figure out where am I at? How can I fit this now into my new schedule? So that was a big one, I think, for me. And then I also had that flood in my house back in September, which just, even though that doesn't have anything to do with this, it takes up so much more energy and time and space and effort of just things going on in your life that, like, we were 6 months without a main bathroom, and it's crazy how much that impacts just your daily life.
I don't think that would come as a surprise to anyone.
Having to get up and down at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom and go down the stairs. It was not a great 6 months there. It wasn't bad either.
Catheters where it's at, man.
Bedpan. Uncle Joe style.
Just go, man. Just go.
I feel like we're more of an official podcast now that we actually have a schedule and we're on seasons, and we're actually finished 2 seasons now, which is really cool. I forget how many episodes were season 1. I'm going to look at that, but I think we're
800 or something like that.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Hey, before we get too far into
16. There were 16 episodes, I'm sorry, in season 1. That was a lot. It was a double the length of the season here so far.
So, not to get too far into it without opening our end of season beers, did you grab a beer?
I did. And as per tradition, at least from our last one, it's a dealer's choice, right? We were each bringing our own beer.
Absolutely. I think the only difference is, for me anyway, I chose a beer that we have not reviewed yet. So
yeah,
it's a new one for the podcast.
This is a new one as well for me too. Yeah. Well, you want to introduce yours first?
I am drinking Honey Jacket Barley Wine by Revolution Brewing out of Chicago, Illinois. I don't know if you and I have had this together, but it is a barley wine with honey added to it. It comes in at 13.2% alcohol by volume, and it is
with the barley wine,
one of my favorite barley wines. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love barley wine.
It's a big boy.
Yeah,
me too.
There's been very few that I've tasted that I didn't like. Even the worst barley wine has been better than a lot of the beers I've had otherwise. And so I definitely enjoy a good barley wine.
Absolutely. I think the first barley wine that I can remember trying was Lawyers, Guns, and Money. And I don't know if you remember that, but
I do.
That was from Crazy Mountain Brewing out in Colorado. And we actually had a tour. Unfortunately, I don't remember the brewer's name at the time, but this was a while ago. But I think that was the one. Oh, barley wine. Yes.
That was a fun trip too. That was a really fun trip. That was the one we went on together, right? Out there?
Yeah, we flew out together. Remember, we went to visit my brother and we brewed some beer with him with his new kit.
Yeah, we hit Pikes Peak Brewing Company.
Crazy Mountain.
I do remember that.
So the Honey Jacket, by the way, is a 2020, which is a fine year for barley wines.
Okay. Is there a lot of honey taste to it? Have you had this one before?
I have had it before. It's definitely one of my favorites. It is very sweet, as barley wines have a tendency to be, and the honey just kind of makes it that much more. It is just a phenomenal beer. It's aged in rye whiskey barrels.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it is delicious. It is definitely sweet.
Most of
But,
the barley wines I've tried have been pretty sweet, but good. And like
I
you
like
said,
it.
a lot of usually really punchy, high ABVs.
13.2. It's not a small one.
Nice.
So, what are you drinking?
I am drinking an old favorite one. One of the very first stouts that I ever had that I really was like, wow, this is really good, is Dragon's Milk by New Holland.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the very first one I had, I was like, God, this is great. And they came out in 2017, and probably other years as well, but the one I have right now is a 2017 reserve, so it's at the end of its life a little bit. It's the Mocha Mint Bourbon Barrel Stout by Dragon's Milk. It's one of their reserve beers. It's 11% ABV. New Holland Brewing Company out of Michigan. I've always liked the Dragon's Milk. I have had this one before, and when I first got them, they were amazing. And yeah, the smell is dull now. Taste is still pretty good, but I don't get any mint. I get a little bit of mint. It's mildly refreshing there with that. But still, yeah, it's still a great beer. I'm going to put this whole thing away, no problem.
Yeah. Have you ever been there to their brewery?
I have actually. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool brewery for sure. And yeah, it's cool. How about you?
Yeah, I've also been there. I enjoyed it. I have not been to, I don't know how I haven't, but Revolution I have not been to. So we'll have to make a field trip one of these days. We'll go to a Cubs game and hit up a couple breweries.
There you go. Yeah, I'm down for that for sure. All right.
And if Revolution wants to put us up in a suite at the Cubs game, I'm down for that too.
Hey, we'll take it.
Goose Island could do it too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Hey, cheers to the end of season 2, buddy.
Yes, indeed. Salud, man. This has been a fun journey, and I think I'm liking what we're doing, and I think it's just getting better and better, which is cool.
Yeah, I think we continue to dial in on what we're going to do. Some of these episodes sometimes we'll record 2 back to back on a weekend or something, and some of them end up being recorded a little bit ahead of time, if you will. So if we record 2, that'll be 1 month's worth of content, and so we end up getting ahead a little bit. But I've thoroughly enjoyed some of the things that we've brought to the table here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, we had a little bit of a backlog of some of these episodes that we recorded early on that we released. CIA was one of our first episodes we recorded, and we didn't put it out until just this season, which, by the way, a fun little fact for anybody who does listen, and I'm sure if you do listen regularly, you've probably picked up on it, but we've started to try to pair our beers with the episodes as best we could. And so I think it's fun. You can always spot some of the early episodes that we recorded because it doesn't have a pairing as well. Now, of course, worst smells, we couldn't find a beer at all that worked for us. And so that one was a purposeful not pairing. But generally,
somebody had mentioned, and I can't remember who it was by, but Smells Like Bean Spirit. It was a coffee stout with beans in it. Nice. Yeah, and which would have obviously been appropriate, but it's also no longer in production or out of season, and can't find it anywhere.
Finding it locally. You have actually a better selection of beers where you are than I am. Actually, you have a lot more opportunities to find different beers and more exotic beers than I do.
I don't know if you do this, but I shop for beers that sound good, and I look at the name of the brewery and the name of the beer to see if I can incorporate it into a podcast.
Yeah, actually, I didn't until just more recently. Obviously, when we were up there, I was up there a few weeks back hanging out with you, and we picked up the Goldfinger beer for a future James Bond episode. Yep. And I am shopping more with that in mind. Can I make a podcast out of this, or is there a topic that we can revolve around it? More so than probably
much easier than doing the opposite.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the other trade secret. Most of our topics are just chosen by whatever beer we can find. We have season 3 already mapped out, which is cool. So I think we're doing pretty well. That's a big change, like I said, that we did this year. I really feel is helping quite a bit. So
yeah, we definitely got a little bit more organized. We have started to record for season 3, but we have a lot that we still need to do. We have some ideas of things that we want to do, and getting out there, potentially doing some interviews and talking with people. And I think we mentioned that once before, but I think that may or may not happen in season 3, but as we go along, that is a goal.
Yeah, definitely the goal for sure. We've done a lot more remote recording this year too, as well, this season. I think we finally got that dialed in a little bit. Both of us being able to find some time and a schedule that works well for both of us. And I think that's helped a lot, because I can't get up there as much and you can't get down here as much as you want to. And so I think being able to just record remotely and say, hey, we're going to do this today and record 1 or 2 episodes has been cool.
Absolutely. It doesn't help too. Well, we mentioned it in a past episode, but when we do get together and that doesn't go as planned, we did have an incident earlier here in season 2, trying to record at your place.
Oh man. Yeah. Cause you'd come down. I was sick and it was funny cause I felt like shit that week. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to, I texted you, hey, I'm not feeling great, but I think I'm getting better. And I actually felt like I was on the mend, like I was getting better. I did the COVID test, came back negative, all the other stuff. I'm like, okay, great. Why don't you come on down? I'm feeling better. And then literally that next day, like you had just gotten in that night or maybe you were on your way down and I was like, man, I just feel like crap. And so you came down anyway. And we ended up recording a couple episodes, but we had 5 or 6 we were going to record. And I remember just going, man, I'm gonna go lay down for a bit. And I fell asleep and I'm like, you should probably just take off.
Yeah. It's what, a 3.5 hour drive. And like, all right, this is cool. Thanks.
Yeah. I felt so bad about that, man. What's interesting too, is I come back around, I took a test and I did come back as positive for COVID. We got past it though. We put some stuff out, but that definitely threw us some hiccups too, because we were, like I said, we were going to record 5 or 6 episodes that whole weekend, and didn't happen.
Yeah, I think we had it planned out. We're going to knock them all out, and I think we still did record. I think we recorded dogs that weekend.
Yeah,
that night before you really got sick again. Speaking of episodes, the dog episode was a fun episode to do, learning about all these different famous dogs.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Dogs are cool. My dog is old, and as we mentioned before, and he's got dementia, but I almost feel like I'm a little bit closer to him now. He has a lot of needs, and I had to give him so much more attention. I don't mind it. It's cool, but I do feel like because of all that, he and I are a little bit closer, and that was a fun episode to kind of get into it, so it's cool.
That was cool, and now we got him in our video.
Yeah,
too, the little plug that we did, so that was fun.
Yeah. So, now the other one we did get some comments on, is this a joke, is this for real? It was the worst animal episode. Obviously that was our April Fool's episode where we talk about Kitty Perry, my cat.
Absolutely.
That was so funny because
she is something.
I know I had laid it out there and you weren't really sure what it was, but I know exactly what this is. This is your cat. That's it. Like, well, I was going to drag it out a lot longer and play it out. And again, we do talk about, at least in the past, I think we talked about more of, okay, I'm going to talk about this, you talk about this. And that one was not. That was I think we mentioned in the episode, but yeah, you got this topic and I was prepared with all the mosquito is the worst and people are second worst. And I had all the ranking. And then I think when it came out that your cat was the worst, that was when we decided, that's it. There's nothing else to discuss because she's the worst. Enough said, close the book.
That's right. The intention was not to make it a April Fool's joke, if you will.
Yeah, but it worked really well for it, I think.
It totally did.
It's our shortest episode too as well. I think it's only like 10 minutes long. So it's a nice quick one. If you haven't listened to it, it's worth it because it's fun and it's short. And it was a good one.
And I'll just remind everybody, part of everything that we do really is trying to make ourselves laugh. Are those topics that everybody wants to hear? No. Do we find them amusing? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. Yep. I agree.
It said 15-year-old, the sense of humor that we have in our heads.
Which is why the farts episode was a lot of fun. We were just coming up with names and it was great.
I enjoyed that one, actually. I thought that was pretty funny. I listened to it actually with a few other people. And I don't often do that. I often just, when I go back and listen to our episodes or when I listen to a podcast in general, it's usually by myself. Mm-hmm. And this one, I actually did listen to it. I listened to it with Jen and I didn't let her know about the discussion. I didn't let her know that she was mentioned in there with her experience with my farting. It definitely caught her by surprise. And just being able to see her laugh about all that stuff. I can tell you right now, she's not a fan of your beefing, whatever you call it, slang. Yeah. But anyway, so that was fun. I enjoyed being able to listen to that with her and getting getting to see her response to it was fun.
I had a couple of friends reach out and were laughing that they were saying, "Oh, I had this experience," and telling me their fart experience. I really don't want to know this stuff about you people, but it's cool.
Just because we talk about it doesn't mean you need to tell me. Nice.
What would you say was your favorite episode this season? Was it that, or was it something different?
That one was definitely enjoyable. All right, I'll get to my favorite in a second. I thought the Famous Johns was entertaining. Number one, I thought it was cool because you and I both brought, at least initially, different focus. Like, I'm like, yeah, we're not talking about toilets. You're like, I am.
Yeah.
Oh,
Both came to that one with a different approach for sure, which was fun.
Yeah, classic rock, I thought was really cool. I like that one.
Any episode that we have a guest on, I always enjoy. I think just because it brings a different dynamic sometimes, and especially Chuck and Len, they're such different personalities from us, but also we all get along so well. Like, it's just an easy conversation always with them. And so I think that one was a really fun one. And for people who don't know, actually, that was an interesting kind of behind the scenes on that, is that we really recorded that one at the same time we recorded the season 1 Rock 91. It actually was an extension of that one. And we thought, man, we've got 3 hours of this conversation here. And it had moved into this classic rock kind of discussion. Let's just make it its own episode, which proved to have some challenges as well, because we had different beers. We didn't really do an intro. So you and I had to go back and re-record a new intro for it and that kind of stuff. And so it probably plays a little bit differently than some of the other ones, but that was a great discussion too. So if you go back now and listen to Rock 91 and then go and listen to classic rock, you can tell where that conversation started and stopped. And it's fun because it really is an extension of that same conversation that we felt like, man, we could do a whole nother podcast on that.
Yeah, absolutely. When we recorded it, I don't know that there was a break in it at all. I think it went straight into it. So actually, you go back and listen to the Rock 91 episode, it was an anticlimactic finish because we started talking about the classic rock and are those bands classic rock? And so, yeah, it went right into it. What was interesting about that too, and I don't remember if it made the edit, but I think Len mentioned it was like, we all agree on the definition of classic rock. That was also, in a way, anticlimactic as well, because it was like, oh, crap, we all agree. And that was unique too, because you have 4 people. We're all about the same age, but definitely different backgrounds. And I think we all nailed it on what classic rock was.
But it was still a very lively discussion. I think we had a lot of good opinions on there as well. And it went in a lot of good directions.
You mentioned too, when we did record it all, it was about 3 hours of content. And I think Rock 91 is our longest episode to date. And that's why, because at some point we had talked about chopping that up into 2 episodes, 3, including the classic rock discussion. But yeah, so that was, long story short, I know it's too late because it's been a long story, but that was my favorite episode.
For me, CIA was my favorite episode. I think probably because it's one we recorded early on. We recorded it back in February of 2023, so it was before we even released anything on here. I had come up there, Chuck was hanging out with us, and we just said, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I don't know if it was the first one he had done with us.
It was not. We had recorded. We tried to record. Remember, we'd mentioned that too. The first one we did was one where Chuck, every time he talked, he grabbed the microphone and
Lunar Litterbugs, right?
Using that wooden chair.
That's right.
Yeah, Lunar Litterbug.
Yeah. Which we still haven't put out yet. We need to do that too as well. That's a fun one. It's a great episode. I think we talked about it in the season 1 finale. Had this one.
Yeah, we did talk about it because it's not out there.
I'm gonna say it again. Like when we do put it out there, it's a fun one. It's a mess because of all the noise and crap going on in the background because we were just very amateur winging it. But it's a fun episode. And CIA reminds me of that too, though, because it was just a fun discussion. I think with Chuck and everything else, and I liked it a lot. So yeah, that was mine.
Yeah.
And that was when we had Modelo too, which wasn't a bad beer. It was a nice change.
No, it was a good beer, but it's funny because I had sent a couple different topics to Chuck, and I said, these are going to be your topics to talk about. And so I gave him a little synopsis of each of those topics. And Chuck's preparation, I thought he was going to go and research these and become very knowledgeable. And instead it was, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to read what you wrote for me.
Right.
Rude.
Yeah, but you pulled it off.
Only I get to read.
It was fun.
It's the rest of the discussion, being able to talk about like wait, the CIA did what? And you can't script that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that you pull out of it. You make notes on here's some of the highlights, but there's a lot of information to get when you're reading into it and looking into it that you just put aside and bring up just in natural conversation, which is fun. You asked about my favorite beer. I think it's got to be the Dog episode, Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA that we tried this year. That was a good one.
Absolutely.
I always like that one, and I would say that was my favorite beer that we tried this year, or this season.
I agree.
How about you?
That was good. I'm gonna go
Unicorn Farts.
Dogfish Head. That one is probably at the bottom of my list. Sorry, guys. It was the Uncle John's hard cider, the apple blueberry cider.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a nice change, and it was mighty tasty.
The guy at the shop had recommended, I can't find anything, John, but what about this? And that sounds great. We'd recorded a couple other episodes already that day. And when we do record bulk episodes like that, we generally try to do them back to back because we're in this mode of recording. If we take a long break, then you get out of that conversational vibe. But the downside of that is that we have we're tasting a lot of these like 10% beers, and we're drinking the entire thing during an episode, and then we go to the next one and have another one. And after a while, it gets a little bit punchy, and that was a nice, refreshing change. About halfway through that day, we recorded a couple more. We switched over to that hard cider, and it just really had a nice. It wasn't as heavy as the beer. It had a good flavor. It just hit right at that time, and I think I agree with you. That was a really good one.
Uncle John's Fruit House Winery, or maybe their full name. They're out of St. John's, Michigan.
Yeah, it was an apple blueberry one that we had, which is good.
There are other random topic podcasts that actually try beers as well. One of them that I found, they just talk about it. They don't actually drink it. And I think that's definitely different for us. And as you mentioned, sometimes when we're doing 2-3 episodes in a row, we're drinking these beers. And
it catches up.
Like right now, yeah, I'm drinking this 13%er. We know going into it that we're drinking these beers. And we know that we don't have to drink the whole beer.
We do anyway.
But we do. Okay, except there's a few exceptions that we haven't, but for the most part, like I will. We obviously pick some beers I think that we're interested in trying, and sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're not, and some of them we've had experience with, just like the barley wine today. There's no way I'm drinking a few sips of this and then throwing it out. Like,
right.
I'm going to sit here. I'm going to drink the whole thing. Those days when we're recording 2-3 episodes and drinking them, all of them. Yeah. You know, by the end of the third episode. Woo.
Yeah. It gets a little fun and crazy and a little bit less scripted and a little more unruly, which is fun. So I like those parts as well.
Absolutely.
You've been really hitting the social medias quite a bit for us. One of the things where Brett's really picked up and kind of taken off on stuff, especially this season, because of all the extra stuff, like I mentioned earlier about trying to find a new job and dealing with whatever else, is Brett picked up the slack on social media and just ran with it. And I like what you're doing, man. It's cool. It's really fun. And it's so out there and strange. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? What's your process? And
For sure. Yeah. I don't know that I have a process. It absolutely goes along, I think, with our style of randomness. I definitely like just doing random stuff. Not everything I do is funny to everyone, but you and I don't coordinate on it. And so I'm like, okay, this one is going to surprise Aaron, and I think it's going to make him laugh. The ones where I put our faces over, whatever, 2 women and just random. I love those. Like when I'm creating those, I am just cracking up. You're like, oh, this is good. This is good. There's no point to them, obviously. I just enjoy it. I think they're funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some more ready to go. I go in waves. I'll do 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row, and then I'll take a break. And mostly I don't want to bombard our followers on social media. However, sometimes I do.
I like that you use the same picture every single damn time. It's just us standing there.
Well, funny
in
thing
that
is,
picture too.
that is such an old picture. The one that I use the most is from us at a beer festival in Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know, now looking in hindsight, that was 10 years ago. I don't know, maybe more. I don't know.
I think so. It has to be. Yeah.
And I'm not that skinny anymore.
I'm not that fat anymore.
Well, there you go. Yeah, but in fact, that's part of the joke that most people don't know is I keep using this really old picture.
Yeah.
Now, I've changed it up for the ones, like I said, where I put our faces over things. That's more recent photo of us. And again, I just think it's funny. Obviously, I did for a while there. It was all about getting out to different regions. That I did obviously one from Australia and one from Minnesota. And that is totally because that's where we have some people. We have some people listening from all those regions. And thank you to everyone from all over the world. This year we hit Canada and we hit Germany. So we're getting out there. So shout out to everybody all over the world now. Look at us.
Yeah.
It's worldwide.
It's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that we did this season too, as well, is we actually got to get together and do a little photo shoot, a real photo shoot. Speaking of those images, which I still think the ones you use are great, but we did get a chance to go up there. We went to a place called Flight up there in Chicago that was really gracious about letting us come in and take over a little bit in the morning and take some pictures, which was awesome. It's a bottle shop. I highly recommend it. They got a ton of cool stuff, and that's actually a pretty good place for us to scout out some of our episode topics from there. Yeah. We also hit a couple breweries and we're able to take some photographs there too. So
that was fun because we went in to do the photo shoot and we're like, hey, we're here to do a shoot. And it was like, essentially it was, I didn't ask permission, so don't mention us.
You're right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're talking about the brewery, right? The brewery photos?
Yes.
Yeah. Which we had some great photos of, and we definitely, we won't mention what it is, but I will say we have tried their beers on our episodes before, one of our episodes before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. And we like them, and they definitely have been at least open to supporting us and helping us come get some good imagery.
Absolutely. I will mention, talking about, I guess it's social media related. Here this season 2, we started a YouTube channel. Although we don't actually have videos yet of us while we're recording. It is something that we have talked about and we are exploring. Not that people want to be looking at us. Maybe it makes it a little bit more interesting and definitely more appealing to some people out there.
Yeah.
AYSM podcast. Yeah, if you just plug in "Are You Shitting Me?" you'll find us on YouTube. But yeah, it's just another source, especially since Google has ended their podcast options. Everything's getting switched over to YouTube. So you can go find us on YouTube. We'll keep everyone posted. Like I said, we have discussed doing videos, and I think we'll do that when we're together in person, and we'll set up all the cameras and get the right lighting and makeup. We'll get a video out there eventually, but probably not this year.
One of the barriers right now is that there's a whole nother level of editing video with it than there is audio. It already takes us a little bit of time right now with audio because we go through and listen to it and we cut a lot out. I do know there's some apps out there that do that, where you can just load it up there and it'll edit it and it'll even split it across. And so it's just something we need to explore more. I do have several cameras that we should set up and try, which could be fun. So
I'm in for that.
Anything fun and exciting happening in your world has different or evolved? I have something.
Oh, you have an announcement to make?
No, nothing new announcement, but from our previous season, I went ahead and took the plunge and got a bidet at my house. Which has been interesting.
I was gifted a bidet for Christmas, and I will just say no company has reached out to send us a bidet to try. Very disappointed. But yeah,
what's your thought on it so far? What are your pros, cons? Like it,
I can
don't
tell
like
you
it?
what. So I have two real thoughts on it. The plumbing for my home goes along the outside wall, and in the winter, man, that water is cold. And then, I haven't figured out yet the whole, what do I do when I've got a wet ass? Trying to figure that out. But it's a little bit, it's not uncomfortable. And it's one thing if I rinse and then go hop right in the shower or something like that. It's no harm, no foul. But like in the middle of the day, if I'm doing stuff, like what do I do?
So I have figured out whenever I would traditionally go pre-bidet, I'd sit there and it doesn't take me very long to technically go, but then I'm still in there for 15 minutes reading or just taking it easy.
Wait a second. You're telling me you got 15 minutes of dedicated phone time and you still can't text me back? That's bullshit.
Man, I still don't read texts. That's the whole thing, man. I got a whole bunch of them here. There's probably
days.
Looking at my phone. Oh. Yeah, it's true.
I'm like, hey, they're sending a code to you. It expires in 1 hour. I need to know what the code is. And I don't hear anything for days.
It's true. You know, I'm the same with email though. If it's not a work related thing, I just don't do it. I have 200 emails in my inbox I've not read. I have 23 messages on my text message here. Facebook, forget if it's trying to send me on Messenger. I don't even read Facebook Messenger.
Oh, no. That's like when I call and if I hang up or you send me a voicemail, I just call so that it comes up. And that's my signal to you. Check your shit.
That's the bat signal right there.
All right. So anyway, you're on the bidet ignoring me. Go on.
Yes, yeah. But usually it's for 15 minutes of reading. And instead, I'm keeping the same amount of time. When I'm done, that's when I turn the water on right away, do my thing, and then let it drip dry. So 15 minutes later, I'm done. The trick is the application of the water compared to how long you're actually sitting there. And now, if you don't have a lot of time, or if you're not someone to sit on the toilet for a long time, then yeah, I don't know, maybe you dab it with a couple of things of toilet paper or something. But for me, it was all about understanding when to do it and giving myself enough time to let it drip dry without having to do with all that. I will say that they promote you using a towel to just dry off and just hangs there. I think that's weird. Like, here's my butt wipe towel. I don't think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. But that's how they say that a lot of people do it.
I suppose if your aim is good with the bidet, you probably do get it pretty clean, and therefore it's just water. And I question how good my aim is. I don't know. That sounds so weird. I don't know if Tushy has it, but I know that somebody makes one with air dryers. And I'm interested in trying that. Yeah, so
I will say that. And I do know that Tushy has a spa model, so to speak, which is also, you can do the warm water there too. Assuming you have warm water sent there. Most toilets don't have a warm water line next to it. And we, of course, like I said, we had our bathroom rebuilt. We were actually talking about maybe doing it. We ended up not, just because we were like, I don't want to have to pay extra to have a whole warm water line run just so we can wash our ass better. But people do, and there is a warm water option too.
And to that point, like if it comes with an air dryer, you got to plug that in, and now you're running a cord. There's no outlet by my toilet.
Yeah,
halfway across the room.
Exactly, unless it's battery
all the way
powered,
across the room,
solar powered.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. It's solar. Solar
powered, yeah. For your outdoor toilets.
All right. That's called a porta potty.
It's called nature.
and it comes
my
with
nature bidet is the river.
Oh, the shit river.
Lagapo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the new stuff. That's the new exciting thing that's happened for me there. That is directly a result of our podcast is now having a bidet in my house. So I'm excited about that. That's fun.
That is exciting.
Yeah, it was a good season though, man. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 3. I think season 3 is going to be awesome. Like I said, we have a lot of plans now. We actually have season 3 mapped out. And so got a lot of good episodes coming for you guys here. Just to give you a little bit of a hint on a couple things, we are talking about superpowers in one of the episodes. There we have an episode on smells and things like that, which is going to be fun. We're going to dive into some holidays too and other stuff. So it'll be good.
Yeah. Season 3 is going to start right now. It's planned for July 1st.
Yeah. So good stuff for sure.
So that's exciting.
Definitely appreciate everyone who has shown their support and continues to support us and like us and follow us and listen to us. You guys are awesome. As we always say, the more coverage we get and the more you share on your socials, how much you like listening to us, it helps us immensely. So get out there, make sure you like us, make sure you follow us, make sure you're commenting or sharing your favorite episodes with your friends and telling them to give us a listen, because the more we can get that, the better quality these are going to be, the more maybe we might be able to do some travel and do some cool stuff like that too as well. So that's the goal eventually. Season 3 is going to be amazing though.
Absolutely. I will just throw a quick plug. If you go to our website, aysm.show, from there you'll see a little yellow cup icon. That is, if you want to buy us a beer, which is a shameless plug for donating to us, you can go and click on that. You can buy us one. You can donate some money. That'll absolutely help us as far as creating more and better content. I'll also just do a reminder, and I don't remember if we talked about it on the episode, but on Spotify, there is a AYSM classic rock playlist. So if you go on there and look for it, you can find true classic rock music, and you can listen and enjoy what we enjoy, at least as far as classic rock goes. So check it out.
Right on. All right, I'm going to give one more shout out to New Holland Brewery here, Dragon's Milk Reserve, Mocha Mint Bourbon Barrel Stout. It's good. It definitely was better in its prime, its post prime, but even still, it's a great beer. And the mint does come through. It's a little bit refreshing. It's not as punchy as it used to be, but I can't complain. I'm digging it.
Nice. And I've been drinking the Revolution Brewing Company's Honey Jacket barley wine aged in bourbon barrels with honey. Delicious.
That sounds really good, man. I'll have to try one of those next time I come up there.
I got a stash.
Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you coming back here in season 3. That episode, as Brett mentioned, is coming out July 1st. And that one, we're going to be talking all about